Welcome back to another video tutorial brought to you by thevirtualinstructor.com. Today I'm going to show you how to create a transitioning slideshow in Adobe Flash CS4. It's very easy to do, and we're just going to be using some of the standard images that come with Windows. You can see these guys all the time popping up here. I'm going to do it with 3 images, but you can do it with whatever amount of images that you want. It's really easy to do, and this is how it's going to work. I'm going to go ahead and just close this and open up a new file, and ActionScript 3.0 is just fine. I'm going to close this too, and here we have our stage. You can make your stage whatever size you want, but for this I'm just going to use the standard default size that they give me. Now I'm going to go up to File, Import, and I'm going to import the images that I'm going to use. I'm going to import them to the library. So I'll select Import to Library, and you might browse for your pictures, but I already have mine up. I'm going to go ahead and import all of them, although we're only going to do this with 3 for time. And click Open, and it looked like nothing happened, but what happened actually is it imported your images into your library. If you don't see your library anywhere on your screen, you can go up to Window and select Library. Mine's already open over here, and you can see all of my images are right here in the library. So we're going to import the Blue Hills image first. So to do that, I'm just going to click on it, and I'm going to drag it to where I want it on the stage. Now, it's relatively too large for the screen. There's no relativity about it. It's much too large for my stage. So it's real easy to change the attributes of your image without going to modify and transform and trying to guess it and get it right. We're just going to make it fit the screen. To do that, you can go up to Window and select Align. I already have my Align menu up, and it's right here, and this is what pops up. Now you can select on this little guy right here, and it says Match Width and Height, and it will automatically change your image to match the width and the height of your stage. Alright, now we want it to be aligned in the center. So 2 things. You select Align Horizontal Center, and it moves it to the center. And then you select Align Vertical Center, and it puts it right in the middle of our stage. Perfect fit. Alright, now we want this image to fade in and then fade out. So to do that, we need to decide how long we want this image to play. So for this demonstration, I'm going to let it play for 30 frames. So I'm going to right click on frame 30 and select Insert Blank Keyframe. Alright, now you can see my Blue Hills image is going to play for 29 frames, and then on frame 30 it's going to change to something else. And we'll change it to the next image. So I'll grab the next image and I'll pull it to the stage, and I'll go through the same steps that I did before. First of all, I want it to match the height and the width, so I'll select that. I want it to be horizontal center, and I want it to be vertical center. So there we go. Now we want it to be even, so we'll want it to play for 30 more frames. So on frame 60, we'll right click again, insert a blank keyframe, and then we'll select our third image, which will be the water lilies, and I'll just pull that in. And again, match width and height, and then align horizontal center and align vertical center, and there we go. Now we want this to play for 30 frames too, so I'm going to go ahead, and this time I'm going to insert a keyframe instead of a blank keyframe, and you'll see why in just a minute. Alright, now let's go back to our first image, the Blue Hills right here. Now we want it to fade in, stay up for a little while, and then fade out. In order to do that, we need to change the alpha on the image. In order to change the alpha, we need to turn this into a graphic. So we're going to change it into a symbol, and the symbol we're going to choose is graphic. So you can right click on the image and then go to Convert to Symbol down here at the bottom and select graphic. Now I'm going to name this one blue and click OK. Now we're going to adjust the properties of this graphic. You can go to Window, Properties if yours isn't already up, but my properties are already up. Now yours might be like this, where color effect is closed off. You can just click on that little arrow next to it, and this little drop down menu comes up. It says Style, and we want to select Alpha, and we want to turn the alpha all the way down to 0. Yours will probably be up to 100%. If not, you can just slide it down to 0. Now what happens when you slide it down to 0 is you see nothing on your stage. When it's up to 100%, you see the complete image, and all the different points in between are different variations of transparency. So we want it to be nothing first and fade in, so we're going to go all the way down to 0. Then we're going to go to the 5th keyframe, or around there, and I'm going to go ahead and right click and select Insert Keyframe. Then I'm going to go back to the symbol, make sure you're clicked on the symbol, and then I'm going to go to alpha this time and pull it all the way up to 100%. Okay, so now we've got our image back full. All right, so right now it's nothing and then full. You can kind of see that out of the corner of the screen. So what we want to do is we want to right click in between those two spaces, and we're going to create a classic tween. So when we play this, it'll fade in. Okay, now we want it to fade out, so on about frame 25 we're going to go ahead and insert a keyframe, and then right before frame 30 we're going to insert another keyframe, and right here on frame 29 we're going to change the alpha on that object too. So we're going to go ahead and select it, and then go over to our properties and pull the alpha down to 0. Then we'll go back and we'll insert that classic tween in between the two. Now when we play this, and I'll play it really quickly, we export it, it fades in and then fades out really quickly. The other slides just shoot up there because we haven't done anything to them next. But that's the effect that we want. We want it to fade in and fade out. So we're going to repeat this process that we just went through on the next two images. So we'll go ahead and click on the next one, click on it, right click, convert to symbol. I'm going to go a little quicker this time. Select, I'm going to name it red. Select OK, then color effect, of course we want alpha, and we'll turn it down to 0. Now we're going to go 5 frames into the future, or about that. We'll insert a keyframe, then we'll click on the object and bring the alpha back up to 100%. And I'm going to go ahead and put that classic tween in there. All right, we want it to start to fade out about right there, so we'll insert a keyframe, and we'll insert another keyframe right there, frame 59. And this is the keyframe we want the alpha to turn all the way down. So we'll go back over here to alpha, turn all the way back down to 0, right click in between, create a classic tween. We'll do the same thing for the last image. Right click on it, convert to symbol. We'll name this flower. And we'll turn the alpha down to 0. We'll go 5 frames into the future, insert a keyframe, click on the image, and move the alpha back up to 100%. Go in between these two places and create a classic tween. Now here at the end, we had already put a keyframe right here. Right now this keyframe is not a graphic, so we're going to go ahead and put a blank keyframe right here. And the blank keyframe we put right here is a graphic, so we're not going to need to change this, but we will need to change this one. So we'll click on this keyframe, right click on it, convert to symbol, and we'll just call it flower 2. Click OK, and then we'll change the alpha down to 0, and we'll put that classic tween in between these two. All right. Now when we export our image, we have got a little slideshow that fades out and fades in. Now that speed's a little quick for me, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this. I'm going to go down to my frames per second, and I'm going to change that to about 15 to slow things down a little bit. Then when I export it again, it'll play a little bit slower, and that's how easy it is to create a slideshow in Adobe Flash CS4. I hope you've enjoyed this video tutorial brought to you by thevirtualinstructor.com.